Living out here, you can't really get anywhere without having a licence. So I was really excited to get my licence and be able to drive and have freedom.
In the summer of 2018, 17-year-old Bodhi Genus was learning to drive.
When I was 17, I was really shy, like seriously shy. I was getting those final hours in and trying to do the driving lessons.
With just a few weeks to go until her exam, Bodhi booked a session with a driving instructor.
He's nice enough to begin with. We are driving around lots of roundabouts, pulling over a lot. And then we actually went down this side road, which was not a part of the test route. I was thinking, oh, this is weird. He said, oh, you're doing such a good job. And that's when he leant over and put his hand in between my legs and started like rubbing me. It was probably even higher or more in. We kept driving, and that's also when he started saying, oh, the things I would do, the things I would do. And I was like, what? The things you would do what? And he said, oh, the things I would do if you were older.
What was meant to be an exciting rite of passage became a terrible violation by her instructor.
I could feel that I was almost shaking in my body because I felt so unsafe and so uncomfortable. I was completely by myself with this guy. There was no one around. I couldn't see a single other person around. There was no escaping it.
Bodhi's mum, Lois, met the two of them after the lesson.
So I can get someone to play with me. As soon as I saw her, I was like, whoa, what's going on? I asked if she would want to report. I think we need to report this. And she just was like, no, like, I just want to go in the car, which obviously she was just shaken.
For Bodhi and Lois, the idea of making a formal report to the police was overwhelming.
Always makes me a bit emotional, but yeah, a family member had been sexually abused, like really serious, and we went through 2 years of court cases, and we were in, each time there was a hung jury. For me, it was very much just like, I'm not going to put myself or my daughter through this.
I just felt so hopeless because I didn't do anything and I knew what he did wasn't okay. But I just let it go because I didn't want to cause a fuss. It made me feel small and weak.
Over 300 people have contacted the ABC with tales of harassment and assault by their driving instructors from across the country and dating back decades. The majority sharing stories from when they were teenage girls.
I was unsure where we were. His response was, somewhere where I can do whatever I like and nobody can hear you scream.
The instructor ran his hand up my leg and told me he could make sure I passed if I let him.
It happened more than 10 times. I felt so trapped and was so naive.
At least twice, he placed his hand on my upper inner thigh so high that his thumb rested on my outer labia.
I told no one. I wanted to pass my driver's test, and I was embarrassed.
It took me 3 years to get my licence because I would have panic attacks every single time.
He would say very
I'd
inappropriate
be
things
behind the wheel.
about young women being sexy and leading men on
We never
in
told our
short
mum
school
at the
dresses.
time because we
I
felt
was always
so
in my school
bad
uniform.
that she had paid for 10
The driver was
lessons
telling me
each.
from my first lesson that he can pass
was
me
sexually
quickly and
harassed and
other
touched.
students let
I
him
don't know
bang
what
them
to
on the
do.
bonnet
One
of
of
the
the
car.
claims he's still teaching.
You're strapped in quite literally and it's not a situation where you can just run away, or get out of the environment.
Barrister Molly McKendrick specialises in sexual assault and harassment cases, including against rideshare drivers.
People have a misconception of what grooming is, and they see it as physical touching or going straight into testing boundaries, but I think it can be quite subtle, that it can start from simple comments.
In each state and territory, instructors are required to have a police or working with children check, but those offer very limited protection for learners.
There is loopholes to them and there's downfalls. For instance, someone hasn't made a formal report to police, or that they have made a formal report and it went nowhere, then that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come up on a working with children check, for instance.
Many of the learner drivers who contacted the ABC about their assault said they felt unable to go to the police because it was their word against the instructors. And for many of those who did go to the police, their complaint went nowhere due to a lack of evidence.
In any situation where you've got an oath-on-oath case, there's always going to be difficulties. I think ensuring that we have an environment where people can come forward and feel that they can come forward quite quickly does assist in the prosecution process.
Driving instructors in South Australia will soon be required to install cameras and GPS so the lesson is monitored. But there are no plans to introduce dash cams in any of the other states or territories.
I think having cameras installed in cars would be an amazing way to feel safer, or just to have some accountability in place.
You're not only seeing what's occurring in the act itself, but you're seeing the background, the context, the behaviour, and a lot of those grooming practices which we've discussed are also likely to be captured.
In the United Kingdom, a national oversight body tracks complaints and disciplinary action against driving instructors. But in Australia, the reporting process differs from state to state, with victims telling the ABC they struggled to navigate the system. We asked Transport Minister Catherine King for an interview about what she would do to coordinate a national response to this problem. She declined 730's request, saying it's a state-based issue. But learners say that the lack of a national response is a key part of this problem.
Well, I think it's an appalling breach of trust to be doing that to young people who are there to learn how to drive, and you're in that sort of position. I would like to see the Commonwealth play some sort of lead in actually a coordinated response, given this seems to be across the country.
I want them to make a change. It's not okay that that's happening to so many young girls, and it needs to be stopped.
In a statement, the Australian Driver Trainers Association said it was appalled to learn of the complaints and supported the introduction of dashboard cameras.